Welcome to the Logical View, where we cut through noise and opinion with evidence and reason. Here we examine claims from the past and present, testing whether they hold up to the facts and to the principles of sound logic. Let's get started. Recently, several Western countries formally recognized a Palestinian state. In response, Israel's Prime Minister said this sends a dangerous signal, that murdering Jews pays off, and that such recognition is basically a reward for terrorism. Today, we'll look closely at that claim, not from a political angle, but by asking whether the reasoning itself holds up logically. The claims. Let's translate the Prime Minister's statements into everyday language. Recognition sends a message. If a country recognizes Palestine, the message being sent is that violence and killing have achieved results. That message equals support. If the message is murder pays off, then that country is essentially supporting the killing of Israelis. Therefore, recognition equals support. Put together, the argument is that recognizing Palestine is the same as supporting violence. That's the skeleton of the argument. It sounds clear at first, but now let's test whether each step actually works. The evidence. What was said? At the UN, the Prime Minister told world leaders that recognition of Palestine sent a very clear message: murdering Jews pays off. He also called it a huge reward to terrorism. How other countries framed it. In contrast, the UK, Canada, and Australia, among others, paired recognition with very specific caveats. That Hamas must have no role in government, that terrorism is not legitimised, and that recognition is meant to support peaceful coexistence. In other words, they said explicitly, this is not a reward for violence. What this shows. So, while recognition could be interpreted by some as a reward, the recognising governments were sending the opposite message at the same time. That complicates the Prime Minister's claim that recognition equals support for killing. Before we continue, if there's a subject you'd like me to analyse with the tools of logic, feel free to leave your suggestion in the comments. And if you find value in this type of careful analysis, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps bring this content to more people. Conclusion. Formal logic analysis. Equivocation. Shifting meanings. This happens when the same word is used in different ways. Imagine someone saying, you support your team by wearing a jersey, therefore you support violence if you watch a rough sport. Here, the word support shifts its meaning. In this case, the Prime Minister shifts support from diplomatic recognition to moral approval of violence, without proving they're the same. Non sequitur, the conclusion doesn't follow. Just because an action could be misread as approval doesn't mean it is approval. For example, if someone writes a clumsy tweet that's misinterpreted, that doesn't prove they actually endorse the misdeed. Likewise, recognition might be misinterpreted, but that doesn't logically make it support for killing. Guilt by association. This is when one act is tied to a separate group's behaviour without real proof. Recognizing Palestine as a state is tied in this argument to Hamas's violence. But the countries that recognized Palestine were clear they wanted nothing to do with Hamas. Linking the two is guilt by association. False cause. Suggesting recognition causes violence is like saying posting a rain cloud emoji makes it rain. To prove causation, you'd need clear evidence that recognition directly leads to more attacks. That evidence wasn't provided. Final assessment. The Prime Minister's argument sounds strong because it uses emotionally powerful language, but once you strip it down, it relies on shifting meanings, causal leaps, and sweeping generalizations. Recognition of Palestine may be controversial, but to equate it outright with supporting the killing of Israelis is not a conclusion that follows logically from the facts as presented. Thank you for joining me on this journey through evidence and logic. If you enjoyed this analysis, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts below. Every suggestion helps shape the next discussion, and together we can keep cutting through the noise with reason. Until next time, this has been The Logical View.